Yo, what is going on here guys, welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video I'm going to be bringing you a video about Spider-Man Miles Morales. However, originally I was meant to be posting part 3 to my What If Toby Was in the MCU video, but I'll be bringing that out tomorrow as this is something that just came up about the Miles Morales game that I very much want to talk about. Also, shout out to Connor over at Skills Studios for the source of this. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description down below if you want to go check him out. I highly recommend you go and subscribe. Anyway, with that being said, let's get straight into today's video. As you can see by the title, you guys are probably already thinking, wait, what? But on the IMDB page for Spider-Man Miles Morales, it states, and I quote, "In this sequel of Marvel's Spider-Man 2018, you can play as Miles Morales as a new and different Spider-Man while he learns some stories about his will of fighting crime and serving justice by his mentor and former hero, Peter Parker." End quote. Before we get into this discussion, I'd just like to say this is IMDB, so take this with a grain of salt, but I thought that this was very interesting, and we should talk about it, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it at the end. I think the first thing we can look at in this quote is the fact that it says it's a sequel to the first game. Now, while yes, it is technically a sequel, it's actually a spin-off game like Uncharted Lost Legacy was to Uncharted 4. However, this description labels it as a sequel, so I think this is the first thing we should take into consideration, as this necessarily might not be true. The second thing, and probably the most alarming thing about this description, is the fact that it labels Peter Parker as a former hero. Now, this is big because according to this IMDB page of the Spider-Man Miles Morales game, Peter Parker has retired from being Spider-Man. This is really big news if this is true, because what this could suggest is that this is an actual sequel to the original game, and that Miles will take the mantle of Spider-Man from Peter Parker going forward in the series. However, we know this is not true due to the end of the last game, where it was set up that Green Goblin and Venom were going to be somewhat of the main villains of the next Peter Parker follow-up story. And this leads me to my opinion on the matter. I'd say, take this with a grain of salt, guys. Anything you see like this IMDB page, take it with a grain of salt, as I don't think, in my opinion, necessarily it's a good description to go off of when it comes to this game. Like I said before, this game is already being compared to Uncharted Lost Legacy and was confirmed to be an expansion on the original Spider-Man PS4 game, but it's not a DLC and is in fact a standalone game about Miles Morales, just so we clear up any confusion. So yeah, like I said, take this description with an absolute grain of salt, and I really don't think this is true, and honestly, at least in my experience with IMDb, not everything is always on point, if I'm going to put it lightly. But let's take a gander. What if Peter is a former hero? What if Miles is the new Spider-Man? And what if he's the only Spider-Man going forward in this universe from here on out? I honestly wouldn't mind that, but I think it's way too early for Miles to be taking the full mantle. If we just look at this situation from a story perspective as well, it doesn't make any sense for Peter to be a former hero at this point in his career. He is 8 years in, yes, but they have set up villains strictly for Peter Parker and latching off the Peter Parker story and character. Miles Morales isn't fully fledged out as a hero and will need more time to develop. I think in terms of story as well, it would be extremely stupid and irresponsible for Peter to let Miles take over right now. Yes, Peter was thrown in at the deep end at the start of his career as Spider-Man, but Miles can be trained, taught how to be a better Spider-Man, how to be the Miles Morales Spider-Man, so that when he does eventually take the mantle as the lead Spider-Man in the series, inevitably, he'll be a far greater Spider-Man than Peter could ever hope to be, because he has learned from the best, and then he'll expand upon what the best has taught him, ultimately becoming the best Spider-Man to ever exist. If this is true, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. I'll still play the game and most likely enjoy it as much as I did the last, but considering the facts and just thinking about the story generally, I don't think this is anyway true. With that being said, once again, take it with a grain of salt. And tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Is this just another IMDB description to take with a grain of salt, or do you think that this has any validity behind it? With that being said, thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy and you do enjoy Spider-Man news, theories, and fanfictions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell as well to not miss out on any more future content when it is released. Once again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.